Please join together as we say the chalice lighting words. The words are found in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Kathy, the birth of your grandson on Christmas Day is just one more connection that I have with Christmas Day birthdays. The father of my first husband was born on Christmas Day. The son of my second husband was born on Christmas Day. Thank you for joining the group. A Christmas club. Yeah. When we take something or an idea and we look at it from a different perspective, we often see things that we never saw before. If we allow it, this new awareness can open us to new possibilities. To this end, I offer you this morning a poem that I have written. I simply titled it, A Poem. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the church, the people were gathered to celebrate birth. An outcast young woman, no room in the inn, was sent to the stable to give birth to him. Her son, a bastard, was destined to bring a message that really could change everything. He knew from his birth how it felt to be rejected, devalued by society. He reached out to women, the downtrodden, the poor. To the dregs of society, he opened the door. With love, he embraced them, accepting them all, picking them up where they happened to fall. No matter what station or level of birth, he proclaimed their value, their intrinsic worth. The culture had labeled them clean and unclean. Those labels he tore down, putting love where they'd been. The gift that he brought us is simple indeed. Love, in the long run, is all that we need. Trust in love? Give up force? You've got to be kidding! How then can we make the world do our bidding? He showed us the way, but we think we know best. I could go on, but you know the rest. 2,000 years later, his message has voice. If we listen or not is a matter of choice. They made him special and set him apart, proclaiming his God's son right from the start. He acknowledged that, yes, God's child was he, but wait, there is more. Just like you, just like me. He told us that we must love one another. We're all related, sister and brother. They gather to worship the messenger now, praying for peace. They think they know how. But have we forgotten the message he brought? Do we live our lives the way that he taught? The challenge for us the challenge for all of us is to discern whether this lesson is one we can learn, or will we fall back, relying on force, giving up on love's power, afraid to change course. He paid with his life to show us the way, in hopes that we'd follow. Well, maybe someday. But for now we fight. We feel that we must, and still kill off those who would urge us to trust. Love one another, your enemies too. They are no different. They're like me and you. But we cannot trust them, is the cry that we hear. Just think for a moment. Is it us that they fear? Fear on both sides is a terrible thing. Love is the answer. Only love will peace bring. I invite you now to take a few moments to meditate in silence on these words. Back in the 80s, when I was in seminary, I spent 2 years studying the first 11 chapters of the book of Genesis. My MA thesis was a theory of the interpretive development of the myths in Genesis 1 to 11. I was fascinated by those myths and how the redactors blended 2 separate sources, 2 creation stories, into one understanding of the world. Those first 11 chapters of Genesis lay out the pattern of the Israelite understanding of how the world works. The blueprint is presented right there. It's all you need to know. All the rest is detail. All through those first 11 chapters, nature and culture, as they experienced them, were mythically woven together to make a whole. Humans were seen as created beings, a part of the natural order, and creative beings, creators of the cultural order. Culture is a system that works within the confines of the natural order. It's a system within a system. Over the long run, culture, the product of human creativity, only works successfully when it is in harmony with nature. Human beings were made from the dust of the earth. We are part and parcel of the earth. When human beings evolved to self-consciousness, commonly referred to as the fall, we lost our innocence. We began to see ourselves as separate individuals with conflicting interests. Brother turned on brother, families turned on families, nations turned on nations. When things start to go culturally wrong, humanity always has a choice. Correct the wrong, or nature will set things right for us, and we may not like how it is done. The mythic story of the flood was nature's way of correcting things. The conflicts grew in scope and intensity until finally in the Tower of Babel story in Genesis 11, we see the whole man-made structure collapse. In the beginning, there was chaos and void. The Hebrew words are tohu vabohu. There's only one other place in the whole Hebrew Bible where those 2 words are used together. It is in the book of Isaiah. When Isaiah was describing the condition of the Israelite people in exile in Babylon, he was reassuring the people that the chaos and void that they were experiencing was not the end, but the possibility of the start of a new beginning, a cycle which was to be repeated over and over again in history. There are many people who are trying to call our attention to the tenuous position that we have gotten ourselves into on this earth. Among them is Al Gore, who termed it an inconvenient truth. The inconvenient truth is that we are killing ourselves and our planet by our selfishness, greed, and self-centeredness. As the myths in Genesis 1-11 predict, we too have a choice: correct our wrongs, or, as in the mythic story of the flood, nature will do it for us. Just as people of old thought that the earth was the center of the universe, we have come to see ourselves as this crowning jewel of creation. We've forgotten that we're not the be-all and end-all of everything, but simply one tiny facet of the whole. We are creative beings. And to make that system within a system work, we must maintain the balance that makes the world work. In his acceptance speech after receiving the Nobel Peace Prize in 2007, Al Gore said that the future is knocking at our door right now. Make no mistake. The next generation will ask us one of two questions. Either they will ask, "What were you thinking? Why didn't you act?" Or they will ask instead, "How did you find the moral courage to rise and successfully resolve a crisis that so many said was impossible to solve?" In 2007, the Dalai Lama wrote, "To meet the challenge of our times, human beings will have to develop a greater sense of universal responsibility. Each one of us must learn to work not just for his or her own self, family, or nation, but for the benefit of all mankind." Buckminster Fuller wrote, "We are not going to be able to operate our spaceship Earth successfully, nor for much longer, unless we see it as a whole spaceship and our fate as common. It has to be everybody or nobody." Years ago, I read what the theologian Teilhard de Chardin wrote. He said, "The day will come when, after harnessing the ether, the winds, the tides, and gravitation, we shall harness for God the energies of love. And on that day, for the second time, man will have discovered fire." The energies of love. Love is what makes the world work. Love is so powerful, but still, we don't trust it. We need to love and care for one another and our world. Love and caring entail respect, connection, intimacy, sharing, trust, oneness to other points of view, cultural differences and values, openness to them. It is a matter of living a both-and existence rather than an either-or existence, of seeing ourselves not as separate, but as a part of the whole. I have friends who bought a lovely old house on about 5 acres of land. I say a lovely old house. It is a lovely home today. But when they bought it, it had fallen into disrepair along with the grounds surrounding it. Most people looking at the property would have seen it as hopeless and would have given up on it, perhaps tearing down the house and starting all over again. A tree had fallen onto the house, opening a huge hole in the roof. The grounds surrounding the house, once a park-like setting, had been neglected for years. The lawn was nothing but weeds, and the trees and the bushes were overgrown. The house itself was sadly in need of repairs. It was the proverbial basket case. But there was something about the place that my friends fell in love with. Whenever they talk about it, they always start out with, "We love this place." You can hear that love in their voices and see it in their actions. After 3 years of hard, dedicated work, their love brought the place back to life. They worked on it inside and out and spent thousands of dollars and countless hours restoring it to its former grandeur. If someone would have told them that they had to do it, I doubt that they could have accomplished the transformation that they did. It was literally a labor of love. It shows what can be accomplished if your heart is in it. They share this Eden-like setting with the wildlife in the area. They buy peanuts by the bushel and put them out on 2 stumps alongside the driveway several times a day. The birds come, crows and blue jays and chickadees and other birds, to share in the bounty. They put sunflower seeds on a tray on the porch where the cardinals come to feast. My friends sit out there on the porch, and the birds and the squirrels and even the deer come up unafraid to feed. They sit there enjoying the animals, even talking to them, and the animals respond to the love they feel there. At night, the raccoon makes his appearance, aware that this is a safe place and good food is there for the taking. And the firefly display on a summer evening, it is breathtaking. Everything about the place makes you appreciate the beauty of nature. The first year they were there, every season was magical. As flowers and trees came into bloom in all their glory, they discovered all kinds of treasures that they hadn't realized were there. It was a wonderland. It all sounds idyllic, doesn't it? It feels like they rescued a dying place and brought it back to life. For me, it is an example of the power of love. When we love, truly love something or someone, things happen that otherwise would have seemed impossible. Miracles happen. People around them thought they were crazy. There was too much to do. The property was too far gone. The task ahead was too daunting. But none of that mattered to them. This husband and wife, working together, in love with each other and with the house and land, they made it happen. Love made it happen. They live now happily in their little oasis of paradise. They keep working at it lovingly. The job never ends. 5 acres reclaimed. So many more acres to go. The whole earth needs reclaiming. I am convinced that only love can make that happen. Oh, we can legislate conservation and recycling and ecology in an attempt to make people live responsibly. But without love, as Paul wrote in his first letter to the Corinthians, without love, we are like a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal. With love, all things are possible. So love one another. Love your enemies. Love all of creation and the force that brought it all into being and holds it all together. We have forgotten where we came from. We see ourselves as separate, privileged, special, even godlike. The inconvenient truth is that we are all connected, all tiny parts of the wholeness of creation. And as the seventh principle of Unitarian Universalism states, we are called to respect the interdependent web of all of existence, of which we are a part. Forrest Gilmore wrote in The Seven Principles of Word and Worship, "When humans investigate and see through their layers of anthropocentric self-cherishing," I got through that word, "a most profound change in consciousness begins to take place. Alienation subsides. The human is no longer an outsider, apart. Your humanness is then recognized as merely the most recent stage of our existence. And you start to get in touch with yourself as mammal, as vertebrate, as a species only recently emerged from the rainforest. As the fog of amnesia disperses, there is a transformation in our relationship to other species and in our commitment to them. I am protecting the rainforest develops to, I am part of the rainforest, protecting myself. I am that part of the rainforest recently emerged into thinking. What a relief then. The thousands of years of imagined separation are over, and we begin to recall our true nature. In closing, I'd like to share with you these words from T.S. Eliot's The Four Quartets. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and to know the place for the first time. So let it be. Amen. Thank you, Bill. I'm always so amazed with your ministry of music. You always surprise me with just the right song. We'll close this morning with number 1052, The Oneness of Everything. And I invite you to stand as you are able.
Join us for worship every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua, a welcoming congregation. We are located at 3024 Cooley Road, 4 miles west of South Main Street, Canandaigua, just north of the intersection with Routes 5 and 20. Look for the blue signs just before the turn. Your comments about this program or questions about the church are welcome at 585-396-1370 or at our website, www.canandaiguauu.org. Producer and editor, Daniel Brigham.